You're listening to the Golightly Marshall Hour on freedomtalkradio.net.
Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch. A lonely time. Time goes by so slowly, and time can do so much. Are you still mine? I need your love. I need your love. Godspeed your love to me.
All right, we are recording show number 9. So, moving along from show number 8, I'll repeat the last slide. The delusion that covers the whole earth brought to you by the Jew, the Babylonian Pharisee priesthood, still in control of my temple, which is the earth. And that they have made out Solomon to be holy when the opposite is true. They have done this because they know how to use gematria and the Babylonian numbering system, and have built into their script, which is the Bible, lies to keep you ensnared within the pages of a book that is satanic. By changing the words from the original King James Version to numbers, they are then not counted within the gematria, and so the trap. Because the original 1611 KJV is the gallows they are hung upon, as I, the Christ, reveal and expose them. So what they put together is a satanic book to ensnare everybody, because nobody's expecting the Christ back as the man, the dude in the flesh walking around on 2 legs. All Christendom is looking up. They're either saying, well, God isn't coming back as a man because he is spirit. He has only come as spirit, and filled with in his people, etc. And how many denominations out there believe that they are the ones that Jesus is coming back for? I have read so much, and I can tell you, because I was in the Pentecostal movement for 14 years, everybody thinks it's them when it is none of you. They all slam the Catholic Church. The Christ was reborn back into the Catholic Church for a reason. That is the church that he comes to rescue the 1.2 billion souls who are being devoured at this point by Francis, who is the Antichrist. But the Antichrist in general are the Jews who call themselves Jews and are not. Judaism is the Antichrist, and they've got their man in place sitting upon, it's not even the throne, he didn't even go on the throne, their dude who bows to them and has delivered the Catholic Church that used to be the enemy of the Jews who call themselves Jews and are not. He has delivered it into their hands. So woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, because the only church that would stand up against the ones that want to kill everybody made in the image of God is the Church of Rome, and now it's been delivered into their hands. So this is a continuation, this PowerPoint, of the giants that wandered the earth until the time of the flood. And what happened at the time of the flood was that Mars bumped into the earth. All the water spilled from Mars onto the earth, and the rotation of the earth slowed down. The center core of the earth slowed down so that gravity increased, and all the animals fell over. They couldn't stand up anymore as the core slowed, and they were drowned. And so
that little boy there is
yes, looking at a dinosaur bones. There's a great big dinosaur. Now this is diagrams of the blue whales being the largest, 60 to 90 feet. The finback whale, 72 to 82 feet. The sperm whale, the right whale, the orca, then the beluga, down to the narwhal, the humpback.
The reason they call it a right whale is because when they harpooned it, it would float. The other whales, they had to pump air into them. But the poor things are still alive, they pump air into them.
Okay. These. This.
Now, you can look at those numbers because...
yeah, well, I thought they were interesting. How come they ended up being saved? Because they were deleted originally, but... okay. So the Earth today has an area of 197,359,000 square miles. When you add the area of the Moon today at 1,465,000...
14657.
Is this meters squared, is it?
Miles.
Miles. Okay.
Miles.
1,465,000... No, that can't be right. There's a...
14 million.
Oh, 14 million, okay.
657. What's the number 657? That's how many lords there are in...
Yeah, it's the conversion
the
rate
New Testament.
Of helium to hydrogen to helium.
It's also
the
the nuclear fusion rate of the sun, changing hydrogen to helium.
All right.
The 197 is my name, Brian Leonard Marshall.
That's from the Earth area.
It's also how many times the word Joshua is found in the Old Testament. And I was arrested for counterfeiting coins at 6 Joshua Way in 1987. 86.
All right. So what's this next number? 21201.
Add the two together.
Oh, adding the two together for 212,016,400. 212 in Hebrew is to revolve, which is what we've been talking about. 164 in Greek is a prisoner of war. Prison planet, you're at war. With who? The Jews who call themselves Jews and are not, but are of the Synagogue of Satan. The Pharisee, Babylonian priesthood controlling their temple. Satanists.
Now at the bottom there, you missed it, but they had Mars as well.
Here we go. Now back to Mars. Mars today. That's the radius, is it?
Radius 2108
miles. And
now,
then...
I didn't do all the numbers on these because you said to me, don't bother with it, we won't do those in that PowerPoint, but I didn't want to delete them. You could have just skipped through.
Well, no, you said to delete them. I wasn't...
Well, don't delete them.
I haven't, obviously, because I thought they were good, but anyway, doesn't matter. 39,237,400,000 miles cubed is the volume of Mars, right?
Yeah.
And then the area, miles squared, is 55,840,700, and the circumference is 13,245 miles. That's Mars. So the Earth before the flood, the circumference was 25,000 miles, the radius 3,978.8769 miles, the volume, here we go, I'm just going to read the numbers, 263,858,000,000 miles cubed, the area 198,944,000 miles squared, the circumference 25,000 miles. Subtract the area after the flood. So the Earth today is a radius of 3,963 miles.
And that word is Patmos on the isle where the book of Revelation that you'll find in your King James Bible, which is tremendously in error. However, it does say the word Patmos, which is 3963, where John was on the island of Patmos in 96 AD on April the 5th. Right.
So the volume of the Earth today, 2607120000000 miles cubed. The area, 197359000, we just said, miles squared, and the circumference has been reduced to 24,900.3 miles.
So therefore, it's smaller in area by 1585, which
square
is
miles.
Perfect in Hebrew and cause to forget in Greek.
Oblivious of, forget. Which is what you are a lot of the time until you find these miracles. These are the miracles of today, turning
I
up.
don't remember a lot of this stuff. I've got to get in the mood. Right?
So the Earth before the flood. Oh, we've just done that, haven't we?
Okay. Well,
subtract after the flood. We did that.
Well, add the area of the Earth today to the moon area
is 396,296,214.16. Subtract
from 25,000, right?
the area of, so the answer...
So the area is 198944000. So you're just taking one from the other. Go to the next slide.
Yeah, that. Add the volume of the Earth and the Moon, you get 2659886700000. Mars cubed, Mars volume 39237400000. Mars cubed.
See, each of these numbers here, you just play them out and it'll show you how you can read them in the concordance. Right?
All right, starting at the top. The radius, what's this of?
Well, what was you just reading?
Oh, this must be the radius of the sun.
Keep going. Radius.
Well, that was Mars. We finished with Mars. This radius here is 432,000, which is half of 864, so it's got to be the sun. Miles. Okay, volume 3.37707 E plus 17 M. It's a big number. Area. This is of the sun. 2345190000000 miles squared. Circumference of the sun. 2,714,340 miles.
That's distance around.
That's the distance around.
Compared to the moon now.
Oh, this is compared to the moon. Okay.
How tiny the moon is compared to the sun.
Yes, right. Okay. All right. And it's 400 times is the difference.
So I've done other numbers, which isn't in this presentation, which we will do probably in the future when we run out of things to talk about.
So, all right, getting down to the core of the Earth, and this is how gravity has been altered. The core of the Earth rotates slightly faster than the surface of the Earth. The speed which the core rotates is the determining factor of gravity. When it was pre-flood, at the circumference, the core was spinning much faster due to the energy pouring in through the white hole at the Earth's centre. This spin caused the gravity to be far less than today. So heavy things, could walk around. And they would grow, it was the entire atmospheric conditions, they would grow taller, live longer, of course, patriarchs, etc. Okay, there's a close-up of the Earth's core. Now, this tells us that the pouring of energy through the white hole. Now, in science today, Stephen Hawking, Richard Dawkins, and all the other idiots out there will have to come up with a name, an all-capital letter name for these. Oh, FWs, that will do.
Yeah, how about DORK?
Dorks? Okay. FWDOR court case. These guys don't have a clue. These are page shills. If you listen to them, just take one sentence that they speak and then try to get any meaning out of the one sentence that they may speak. Doesn't matter on what subject. None of anything that they say makes any sense at all. They are page shills, high profile, to lead away from the truth. So, this tells us that the pouring of energy through the white hole is pouring out. The bubble in the middle of the galaxy, it's a pouring out. If there was a black hole, there'd be nothing. It would all be sucked in and nothing would exist. It's a white hole where from the heavenly realm
you can only have a
is
galaxy
pouring
out from the centre, not bloody being sucked in. It is.
So, this tells us the pouring of energy through the white hole from the heavenly realm stopped when Mars collided with the Earth. The result was a violent molten magma bursting out through Antarctic from the moon and all of the water from Mars dumping onto the Earth. That's a new word here.
Now, there was a guy called Dr. Ballard who was employed by the CIA, given all the equipment to find a submarine, maybe two submarines that went down from the Russians. And what they wanted to do was to find them and then build a ship in 12,000 feet of water and have this ship 600 or 700 feet long. And the bottom open up and a huge grapple go down, grab the submarine and pull it to the surface. They were successful to a certain point. However, the thing broke in half and they lost some of it or all of it. As a reward, Dr. Ballard was given the equipment to use, and he used it to find the Titanic. And then later, after another job he did for them, he had the machines again, and he used these to locate the shoreline of ancient towns and cities and around the Mediterranean and the Black Sea. And it's 168 feet deep. So with these machines, he just dropped them overboard, went down 168 feet, and there's a shoreline all around the Mediterranean. Hello. All right, and the Black Sea in particular.
Okay, so the molten magma solidified in the absolute zero temperature of space. The iron core at its centre is 40 miles. So this is, we're talking about the centre of the moon right now, right?
Yep.
The iron core at the centre of the moon.
An iron core at the centre of the moon, and it is solidified, and it is 40 miles off centre. So therefore, it's attracted towards the Earth's magnetic field, and that is why the moon is always got one face pointing towards the Earth.
Yes.
The actual area of the moon is the same number as the face angle of the Great Pyramid. That is, it wobbles slightly back and forwards on its axis as it's going around the Earth, and it's 51%, 14.3%.
Okay, moving right along. So fluid iron in the outer core has continued to solidify at the boundary between the two cores. So we're still talking about the moon, right? So the inner core has grown steadily to its present diameter. Now this can't be right, this is the Earth. So, all right. Fluid iron in the outer core of the Earth has continued to solidify at the boundary between the two cores. So the inner core has grown steadily to its present diameter of 1,500 miles. This is the core of the Earth. 1,500 times pi equals 4712 miles. In Hebrew, 4712 is from 6896 and means the first stomach or scoop out. Isn't it marvellous? And in Greek, 4712...
my darling.
I know.
That's what amuses me. Human beings think they can outsmart God, the Creator. I mean, I have difficulty getting them to actually follow what I'm talking about.
Oh, nobody does, babe. That's why I sing. That's why I said we've got to change the tactic to get through to them by singing.
Talk to the women instead, huh?
Yes.
The kids.
And they love your singing. That's what they want to hear. So Greek 4712 is stadion, a certain measure of distance. Hello? I mean, is anybody understanding what is going on here? The marvellous, amazing perfection of what is being revealed here. Anybody? Here's a close-up of the moon. The crust, the mantle, partial melt, outer core, liquid, inner core, solid. And these are awesome. This is the impact from Mars, and then the spewing out, punching out of the moon. Molten magma solidifying once it hits the absolute zero temperature of outer space. Marvellous. Now today is June the 3rd, 2014, at the time of this recording and the working of this, when the moon is 384,400 kilometres from the Earth. Greek 3844 is para, which means near, above or beyond.
That's the average, they say, 384400.
Oh, so it's not that particular measurement for today.
It's interesting you say June the 3rd because in the state in 1769,
right,
that's when they clambered up the mountain on Tahiti to take a bearing, and with their mathematicians and scholars and botanists and astronomers from and Mr. Green from the Observatory in London, Greenwich
So this is
Observatory.
Cook, Lieutenant Cook.
Cook. He wasn't a captain, he was a lieutenant. And they did that for a reason, to keep him away from the normal captains who have their clubs back in London or Southampton. And they didn't want him mixing with them because they wanted his findings not to be told to anyone except them. That's the Admiralty. And the height of this is where it gets a bit odd. The height of the mountain that they was doing this all from is 7353, which is the area of the Shroud of Turin.
This is in Hawaii.
No, Tahiti.
Oh.
It was called George III Island because it was George III that was under the kingdom reign of George III at the time. It was George III who actually gave John Harrison a hand, who was a relative of mine, to get the money owed to him by the Parliament after they had the longitude prize. It was £20,000 at those days, like it's
Huge
like
amount
20
of money.
million today, right? But needed it because they couldn't get longitude exactly. So when Cook, with the same longitude and latitudes taken off the SS Dolphin with Captain Wallace, who went there before him, on 5,000 miles from the South Pole, they knew it was going to be around, because they read the pyramid, the 50th layer of masonry, 5,000 miles, right? Just put 2 zeros on it. So that's how they found it. So they sailed up around the Cape of Good Hope. Now the Cape of Good Hope, the length of it, this is the very tip of South America, to the North Pole is the number 10084.5, which times pi is 3168. That's it is in miles. So that's where he sailed around, not knowing that he was that distance from the North Pole. He then sailed up the coast of Chile and then made a left turn and went out west just under 5,000 miles, keeping along the 5,000 mile distance from the South Pole, because he could determine that. That was easy enough because that's latitude. And ran smack dab into Tahiti. There, and that was George III Island at the time, there Cook writes in his ledger, ship's log, Wallace, longitude, correct.
Correct, yes.
So he found it as a test to see if the one clock that Harrison had been confiscated. He had 5 clocks in all. He kept on making them smaller and smaller and smaller. So they confiscated all the clocks and they took the 2 best clocks, the 2 smallest ones, and Wallace had one and Cook had the other. Wallace then sailed on to Easter Island.
Yes.
Where they counted 888 statues. Hello, Jesus in Greek. So then later on in another mission, Cook was sent there and he counted the same, but then they destroyed the Asherah. The one, there's 2 gigantic statues coming out of the side of the volcano, refined 7 times, if you like. So all the other statues in disarray, running towards the coast in panic because suddenly the Lord is back. The priests have their ears cut off and their eyes put out, and they're looking towards the Lord coming back because they can't see him no more. They've got no coral eyes left. And their long ears have been chopped off. They can't hear the Lord either.
They can't see or hear.
So all of a sudden the Lord's there like it is today. I'm here, right, frightening the crap out of everybody because you're being judged, whether you like it or not. And the gallows is looking very, very sweet in my mind at the moment. For a lot of these Jews and Zionists, Rupert Murdoch is number 1 on the list. Right? So this is what happened. So I can talk for days about that. Also, while Cook was there, he had a spare time. He showed up, according to the records, and this is determined by the winds, right? 666 days after Wallace had arrived. Okay. Now he's munching around and wondering what to do, and he goes across to these different islands, and he finds a pyramid there, which is 11 layers, about half as big as a football field, and the base of it is 23,229 square feet, and that is the age difference in days of my grandfather, Francis Aloysius Golightly. Right? And the Pope, his second name is Aloysius. Right?
Joseph.
Right. Now, he picked the name out of a spiritual, for spiritual reasons. He was urged to pick the name of Benedict, right? And of course, it was the Benedictine monks that was supported by and built the Arbroath Monastery and 11 others in Scotland, which was financed by the silver that was owned by
Sterling.
Malcolm III and his wife, Margaret, the Queen of England. When they married, their son got killed in battle, and the grandchild was my ancestor as well, as the other two were as well, King William Lion of Scotland. And with that, he made his own money, which I have done for that very reason.
He
in
minted
honour of
his
him,
own
right?
coins, as you have done.
As I have done. And this is where sterling silver comes from. Right? Why? Because he built Stirling Castle with the money he had. He died in Stirling Castle. He then was taken the 75 miles or so to Arbroath, and he was buried in Arbroath, where we went to both of them. But we went to Stirling Castle at night, and I could see in the distance this long, big statue standing there, and I thought, there's the old king, right? So I walk up to it, and it's Robert Bloody Bruce, that bastard. So they had put Robert Bruce, who came along a long time after King William the Lion, and they have usurped his castle. Instead of having King William,
Who built Stirling
who built the
Castle.
bloody thing, they have this arsehole there, and he represents now, of course, the Knights Templars, which is Freemasonry, which were the ones that stopped my ancestor Patrick Golightly becoming king. You should have been king. Now, where are you up to?
All right, moving right along. We're still on slide number 57, not long to go. So I thought you meant that the measurement for today to the moon, so that's why I put that in there. But anyway, so the average of the moon distance from the sun. Now, the inner core of the Earth, made up of solid iron, super-rotates in an eastward direction, meaning the solid iron inner core is about the size of the moon. So the moon-sized inner core was rotating much faster before Mars impacted the Earth. Therefore, the gravity was far less when the spin of the inner core was faster, allowing the huge animals to walk on all four legs. The atmosphere, this is before the rain, the water dumped on to the Earth from Mars. The atmosphere was called a firmament. It was a layer of dew. There was no rain until the flood. So the firmament, it could not form rain, since rain forms from a dust particle collecting ice crystals high up where the temperatures are really cold. They gain weight and then fall into a higher temperature of air, melting to fall as a raindrop.
So it can't happen in a pre-flood situation, because the firmament covered the earth and everything was moistened by the dew.
The dew.
Okay, so you can't have rain in a dew. That's the whole point. But once the sun and the firmament was gone and the sun was available, then you have the situation of the earth and the clouds forming and the raindrops fall, etc., because there is dust in the air from pollen, etc.
This is why dinosaurs were discovered with vegetation in their mouths and partially digested in their stomachs. We've all heard the stories of how frozen mammoths are found preserved in Siberia, frozen so quickly their flesh could still be eaten today, complete with subtropical vegetation in their mouths. Temperatures 200 degrees below zero are needed to quick freeze an animal of such large bulk, it is claimed, requiring extraordinary catastrophism, the likes of which creationists feel could only be associated with Noah's flood. The Mars impact exposed the animals to open space as the air was displaced in a few hours. The height of the pyramid, the altar to the Lord in the midst of Egypt, up to the rejected capstone, is 454.56465 feet, or as degrees Fahrenheit, minus 454.56465 degrees Fahrenheit equals minus 270.3136944 degrees Celsius. And that, so the height of the pyramid up to the rejected capstone, 454.56465 feet, as degrees Fahrenheit equals 2.8363056 Kelvin. 2836 in Greek is koilia, meaning belly, womb, or the heart. Or the completed height of the pyramid in inches, 5,813 degrees Fahrenheit is 3,211.666.
Goes on, just put
repeater degrees Celsius. So 3211 in Hebrew, Yalid from 3205 is born, home, born child. The end. This is what it is all about. A small child will lead them. The child is the Christ child, reborn to the earth, January the 11th, 1944 at 2:22 a.m. into Sydney, Australia. January the 11th is the day, 2:22 is the hour. As Jesus, he said that only the Father knows the day and the hour. Not the angels, not he himself, only the Father knows. Why was that? Because
I didn't tell
him. And also, he knew it would be the Father coming back, his soul all grown up. He would be the Father who is the Comforter, and he has to reveal to the devoured world the day and the hour of his rebirth. It's the Father speaking. It's not the young buck. That's history. He was the young buck in 1978 when he crashed the logging truck in BC, Canada, and was taken bodily. He ascended bodily into the heavens once again to be sent back and said, only you can save the world. So this is what he's been doing ever since. So it's his voice that's been heard as the seals have been opened from the 20th of December 2006. Just over 7 years ago.
I said, right, Miss Scarlett, Adam, down.
So here endeth this part of show number 9. We've got 28 minutes more. We'll be back.
freedomtalkradio.net.
All right, we're back to discuss the PowerPoint. What's it all about?
Well, the human being, of course, is made in the image of God. But you've got the Creator, which was the baby that dreamed it all up in the first place, and it became a runaway creation, right from the start of the atoms to the stars, to the sun, to the earth, and all these things were created in the mind of the Creator, which is myself as a baby. And no idea what evil was. But what I did dream about was all the good things that the potential. Something here.
We are recording.
Oh. So the potential of what we as now the Creator and created mingling in this end time to bring up to speed the masses that have been totally devoured by the evil in mankind, because God can also create evil when it's man doing it. I can't create evil. I never knew what it was. That's my biggest regret. That's creating mankind, really, to see what they do to each other. However, the long term is that from now on, once you all start to wake up, that a pattern of humankind in the image of God will be. You've heard about in my Father's house there's many mansions. Well, this is the planets that are similar to the Earth. It is all throughout the universe. So in the near future, all of these planets will have a mature creation. Now, there's a fellow who was very, very good man has been locked up because of his being correct, and that is Kent Hovind. And he's in jail to this day because he was telling the truth. So the Americans government set him up, and now he's at caught him for tax evasion or some stupidity. Well, you should be paying taxes. All you Americans should refuse to pay tax right now. The taxes, in fact, 40% goes to the Queen and 60% goes to the Vatican. So the Vatican is behind the CIA, and the CIA got its start from the skull and bones out of Yale University. So, I mean, everything about the United States and Australia and England, it's all corrupt, it's all evil, it's everything from child sacrifice to anything abominable you can think of. Well, that's all coming to an end. Because what is happening is we're bringing, my angels are coming in, and this is what Nibiru is all about, so you can read up on many of the sensible comments about Nibiru. It is out there. This is why the governments of the world have been burrowing underground like rats, to see if they can avoid their damnation, because they think because they're made in the image of God and chose to do evil, that they can overpower the old man. Well, unfortunately, they got a big, big surprise for me. So my job is to basically awaken the world to logic, think like I think, don't take any crap, and overcome the evils. And good men are put in places and positions where they will be able to enact what I have in mind. And this will be a world where all evil is got rid of, all the food will be perfect, life will be extended like it was before the flood, and it's all blatantly obvious in the way that I've explained it to you, that there were giant animals, and the rotation of the core of the earth, when it is slowed down, is what causes the gravity to increase, and therefore this magnetic field is what's already taken place, and the worlds out there, many mansions in my Father's house, I'm the Father, are already waiting to be occupied with a mature creation. So that's what it's all about. Now, these demons know it. All of these wonderful things that I can tell you is already known and in the Vatican archives. It's everything that's ever been written and recorded has been stolen and kept from public view. In fact, I believe that there's 50 miles of shelving.
5,000 miles, isn't it? 5,000 miles of shelving.
5,000? Well, it's a huge amount of shelving in the Vatican. And matter of fact, there's other parts of the Vatican's complex where they've had to build underground more of these caverns to place these books that they have. And, for example, the Alexandria Library, it was never destroyed. They said it was, but it wasn't. It was just all the books were confiscated and then they set the buildings on fire. This is, 415 AD? There's no way in the world that they would miss the opportunity to steal all those books. The idea was to get them to control what is being thought and taught at the time. So, sure, they killed people, but they didn't kill the books. So that's what we're at the moment. And I've got much more I can tell you over the next, as long as you want to keep listening. But what is you've been with me all these years now, what have you observed? And what have you picked up along the way?
Well, the perfection. Everything reduces to you measuring your temple. That's where the information is hidden. The record of God and his creation is in the measure of his temple, which is the earth. I say to people that the temple that was destroyed, Yahweh's house that was destroyed in 70 AD is a microcosm for the earth. And as you overturned the tables of the banksters who were controlling the temple at that time, this is what today is all about. That was a prophecy of today where the banksters control the earth. They're the ones with all the money, pulling the strings, and they are overturned. I will overturn, overturn, overturn. It takes the cooperation of mankind in their awakened state to do as the Christ says to do. Now, in my own case, I was looking for Jesus Christ on the earth as the man of flesh. I spent 14 years in the church, not being sucked in to dedicate all my time to service to some pastor or preacher or whatever. As a matter of fact, I did not listen to televangelists or anything like that. We started out in a small church, and then we had 14 years in North America, and so ended up in Vancouver Christian Centre. But the point is that because I desired to hear the voice of the shepherd more than any other voice, then my angels, and everybody has two angels, it's the angels who orchestrate everybody and try to get through to the moron out the front, as the soul is the part that is connected to God and wants the moron, the idiot out the front, as Jesus calls it, to wake up. So in my own case, because I desired only to hear the voice of the shepherd and to know the truth, no matter what that meant, and I was willing to die unto death. I uttered those words, unto death will I find you. This was in 1999 in Canada. Then my angels were able to kick in big time and move me literally from pillar to post, because it took me 9 years from that time to find you. However, in that time, I was awakened to the information that they were pouring into me, and that was reducing everything to numbers, being aware of numbers, being aware of measure, I call them the blues clues, and then being open-minded. This is the key. In the Christian world, you are not at all open-minded. As a matter of fact, you have been deceived, and you have been frightened into believing that if you question the Bible, then you are doubting God. You are in fear of your soul. You've also been herded like sheep and fleeced by every evangelist, preacher, teacher that you've been supporting with your tithes and offerings. Tithing is a Babylonian commercial scam. As a matter of fact, when we went to Papua New Guinea and to Fiji, one of the first things we told the poor, the meek of the earth there, was to stop tithing, stop giving to your preacher and teacher, because it's burdensome. You are to look after each other, look after your family, look after each other, and if you have anything over, then you can extend that to people outside of your family. Tithing is Babylonian commercial law. It has nothing to do with Jesus. So it really is a matter of you Christians that I'm speaking particularly to you, because I know where your head is at, and your head is in the sand. I would have said in their eyes. Yeah. You think that you're special, you think that you are God's chosen, you think that you are the church that he's coming back for, you think that you are his children. As I left a comment today on the Christ's behalf, everything I write I read to him first, and he gives the authority to leave it in his name. The likes of BP Earthwatch and his buddy Paul Begley are leading the many along the broad road to destruction. The Apostle Paul was a devil. Anybody reading his words and quoting and spouting those, you are totally up the creek. There is no rapture. There is no snatching away of the church. The meek inherit the earth, and those that do leave the earth are the wicked, whose souls are taken away by your angels, the angel of death, and it really is an angel with you on the earth, and then your heavenly angel, and it's the earthly angel that gives it the thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on the life you have lived. What the Christ has been alerting the world to is that you are all in the judgment seat now. Time for forgiveness is past. You've all lived before, and you're gathered upon the earth for the judgment. And there is an unforgivable sin, and that is to speak against the Holy Ghost. And the Holy Ghost is the resurrected soul of Jesus that is worn over his flesh body in his second incarnation. And the Holy Ghost today is Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall.
So basically I'm here for the children, so unless you become like little children, you're not getting in.
And of course that's the warning he gave as Jesus. He said to suffer the little children. What does that mean? It means to put up with them and hinder them not. In other words, don't prevent them from coming to him, because it's for such as these that the kingdom of God belongs to. So it's the children. It's not the adults. You're all so arrogant, puffed up about yourselves. You like to congregate at your social club, feel good about each other, and because a quantum is affected where there are numbers of people, then you believe that you are absolutely on the right track when your prayers, etc., are answered. I would have you know that as a disciple of Jesus, it was all about the truth. As a matter of fact, in the Essene writings, you can read where he says to his disciples, you must be a seeker of the truth. Not love and feel good, fuzzy-wuzzy about yourself, but truth. Because it's only the truth that can set anybody free. So, what have I learned? I have learned that God, in his creation and the recording of himself, is absolute perfection. And of course, it's the first thought that I had the night that I found him, when a friend knew that I was looking for the Christ on the earth, sent me the video link to Nostradamus 13 at that time. Revelation 22:16, which is all about the root of Jesse, the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. So, and then as I watched, at that time there were 141 videos that were on the channel. As I watched them all night throughout the night, I realized that all of the information that had been downloaded into me, I was listening to the Christ that I've been looking for 9 years, and he was confirming everything I already knew. I know it was a matter of me having to be brought up to speed before I was prepared, before I was ready to find him. That's exactly what the angels did, but I had to be willing first and lay down absolutely everything that I thought that I knew, and I knew a lot. Quoting the scriptures that you all are, I know them all. That's why I'm able to wield the sword of truth against you, because I walked through where you are at. You must be willing to lay it all down under death. Your life is not worth living if you speak against the Holy Ghost.
And how much of the Bible would I have read, do you think?
You've read, actually you haven't read any of it.
What's the bloody point?
Well, you are the Word of God. Words come from your mouth is God speaking. And this is what I tell people over and over. As Jesus, you were the Word of God, the Word made manifest. And you berated at that time the Bereans for being stuck in the scriptures. You said that you think in them is life, but and this is regarding the Old Testament, that you're reading the words of dead men written for dead men.
Yep.
And it's the same today.
Well, you've got to remember that I was an Essene, and the Pharisees were the Babylonians.
Yes.
So this is where your Torah and the Talmud comes from. It's such an abomination. I mean, most of the things that are in the Talmud are so evil that it defies imagination. I've read a little bit of it, but it is extraordinarily evil. I don't want to pollute my mind with it, to be frank. So that's why the Jews have got a bit of a problem with me. They wrote themselves into the book of Revelation, and in the Essene book of Revelation, there ain't none. Right? They keep on pushing themselves up to be the chosen, but they were chosen by the Lucifer. It wasn't chosen by me.
Their God is Lucifer.
God is Lucifer, so...
They practice ritual murder, the sacrificing of children. They have done from the beginning, and they have never dropped the practice because they believe that the soul, the life of the flesh, is in the blood. And so if they drink the blood of... they regard Christians as being perfect.
When we was in Italy, we got invited to this Italian Jew's house, and where the Jews gathered to have meetings there. His father was, or grandfather was, an ambassador at one stage, and some of the things that poured out of his mouth was just utter filth, and especially in front of a woman. But he thought nothing of it, and very eloquent in his speech. He was yapping on, and I said to him, "What happens when your soul leaves?" And he suddenly stopped. I said, "Your soul is what drives all of the functions of your body. All your DNA and all your genetics is all determined by the soul. So when the soul leaves, everything switches down. You're dead. And what happens to the body that was just moments before yapping on with all this filth that uttered out of his mouth? Ironically, his name was Luca. So what is it? Filthy Luca?
Totally.
So he was absolutely blown away because he suddenly realised what I was saying was who I am, and that the soul can be withdrawn at any moment, and that's the blueprint. That's the driving force. That's the computer program, so to speak.
Of the DNA.
Of the DNA. It keeps you flashing along, doing your thing, and suddenly you're dead. So the soul then is removed, and it is then judged. It's that simple. So whether you come back to be with me in paradise or you're kicked off this planet forever, this is the refining pot, because only the children will inherit the mansions that I have already established in the universe. So whether you believe it or not, I don't care. It's not an election. So this is where we're at. Very close. Now Fukushima and all the nuclear reactors, Albert Einstein said it's a hell of a way to boil water, and he's quite correct. And the reason they've made these horrendous machines is to kill you all. So they have invaded you by getting you to buy a nuclear reactor that they can turn off or on any particular clock and cause you to go to meltdown, like they've done in Japan. I mean, Japan has got to be the most innocent of people. Nagasaki and Hiroshima would have been enough for me. They have nothing to do with the Yanks. But what they do is the Yanks, they have the earthquake machine, right? HAARP. So you either do as you're told, hand all your money over to us at the one time the Minister of Finance.
Finance, yes.
He was told that unless you do such and such, there's going to be an earthquake at this point at a certain time nominated by the Yanks. And sure enough, the earthquake hit. I think it was Kobe, Japan.
It was.
And then 365 days before that was another. So they did them both. So then they had to capitulate. You can't argue with a weapon that's so powerful that can cause an earthquake or a tsunami, and that's what Fukushima's all about. Added to that, the cameras that they installed in it were 2 metres high, and what in actual fact a cell phone would have done. And what was in them was what they call a Saddam. They're a small nuclear device that's used for detonating hydrogen bombs. So each of those 4 units that blew up if you see to the carnage inside these buildings, then they also built with the spent fuel rods 6 stories in the air, which is the dopiest place to put them, and they put all of their backup generators down below sea level. Who built it? Rockefeller, General Electric. It was all set up because they knew from when I was born, they knew when I was coming by the stars, and they knew what family I'd be coming out of. So when I was born, they've been trying to kill me ever since, and it doesn't work. So now they're pulling off the Samson option. That is, what did Samson do? And Samson was a Nazarene, by the way. Samson option means that you go into the temple and push it down with everybody in it. So they are going to destroy the earth with everybody in it. Hitler was right. I'm a bit annoyed with Hitler that he didn't do what he's been accused of doing, and that was to get rid of the Jews when he had a chance. So Jews, you better repent because you're into the high jump, big time. Better start coming clean. Simple as that. How are we going for time, sweetness?
2 minutes to go, babe.
2 minutes to go.
2 minutes.
So any final words?
Oh, how about a song?
No way.
The other thing that I was thinking, what have I learned, is your thoroughness and going back through the drawings that you've done from the 90s when you were compensated after a couple of fouled back operations and attempts to kill you. You started working it all out. Working it all out for us. Proving himself. The stupidity of people believing anybody fronting up, and there's lots out there. I'm Jesus, I'm this, I'm that. Okay, where's the evidence? It's all recorded in his creation. These are the ones that have died, fleeced the sheep, look like a Rothschild, and anybody who's courting Mary Magdalene is a total fraud, because Mary Magdalene was...
evil bastard.
She was the cause of the cross, and she hasn't changed, and she's back on the earth today.
I had to be with her again for 13.13 years, wasn't it?
Yes.
Holy hell's bells, what an experience. But out of that came the offspring. Her offspring, a bastard of a woman, as she is today, is born in Geelong, Australia, 888 minutes of sunlight for the day, is 11.626 years younger than my oldest daughter, born in Port Alberni, Canada, when I was 80 days old, and the sunrise and sunset was 888 minutes. And all these things, I had to find these people and put them all together so that the interaction of their birth dates are a genetic time bomb that bring forth my mother, Mary, because she was brought back to the earth 888 weeks after I married my second wife, and Mary Magdalene, my third wife, her granddaughter turns out to be 8.888 years old on my 69th birthday. She said to me as a little girl, hardly talk, she said, I used to be your mother, you know. This big 2-year-old.
It's beautiful.
So where did she get that idea from? I don't suggest to anybody any ideas. You've got to come up with it spontaneously, otherwise you ain't delivering things from the soul. That's what it's all about.
That's why I found you. Driven. I was driven to find him. My soul drive.
Lucky bastard.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It took me 9 years. Maxed out.
Did you ever lock in, right?
Oh, luck had nothing to do with it. Absolute sheer determination, obedience, being accused of... I should have been locked up in a mental institution.
You've been accused of going over time at the moment.
Yeah, we are. Okay, say good night, Dick.
Good night.
Later, Gators.